Now you're going to make your first crochet stitch. And if you aren't already in crocheting position, I'll show you really quick how to get back in there. So pick up your yarn and your piece, take your non-dominant hand and face the palm to you, then put the piece in front of it, and wrap the yarn that's connected to the ball once around your pinky, so your piece is now behind your hand, and then drape that yarn over your index finger and hold on to your piece with your thumb and your middle finger. You want the loop that's on your piece to be on the top of the circle and on the side that's closer to your dominant hand. And you want to leave the yarn tail somewhere behind. You're not going to touch that until the very end, so you can pretend like it doesn't exist. Now you pick up your hook and you put it through this loop, and you want the tip of the hook to face you, and you want your hook to be in front of the working yarn. So now that we're back in crocheting position, we need to see where do we need to put the hook. So we're going to do what is called a single crochet stitch. We're going to put the hook in exactly the same spot as this differently colored stitch marker. So it's going to go under these two strands of yarn. So when the hook is there, it's going to look like there's 3 strands of yarn on the hook. And notice how the hook tip is still pointing towards me, and the hook is still in front of the working yarn. Now we're going to do what's called a yarn over, and that is bringing the yarn from the back to the front of the hook over the top of the hook. Another way to think about that is pushing the hook into the working yarn so that you can grab onto the yarn with the tip of the hook. And now I'm going to show you real quick where we're headed, which is to bring that yarn through those 2 strands of yarn so that we have 2 loops on the hook again. So that looked pretty easy when I did it, and I'm going to share with you what I did to make my life easier. So now I'm back to the same spot that you're at. I put my hook under the same spot that this stitch marker is in, and I did a yarn over. So I did a few things to make it easier for me to bring the hook through the yarn, and that thing number 1 is I'm actually pulling on the hook and the piece in opposite directions so that I temporarily stretch out the gap of where my hook needs to go, so that there's less chance that the tip of the hook gets caught on something. Then also, as I bring this working yarn closer to those 2 loops, I'm slowly rotating my hook down, again so that there's less chance it gets caught on something. And then once it clears, I rotate it again to face me. Then I move the whole hook over to my non-dominant hand so that I can secure the loops on the hook. And the goal here is to make the diameter of every loop that's ever on your hook about the same size. And the right size is that it should be vaguely the same diameter as the biggest part of your hook, which is the tip of the hook, because you want to make it easy for you to clear these loops. But you don't want it so loose like this, because then you're going to have really large stitches that may have holes. All right, so now we are almost done. We just need to do another yarn over and then pull that yarn through both of these loops. So remember, your crochet hook is facing you and it's in front of the working yarn. And now you push into that working yarn so that you can bring the yarn over the top of your hook from the back to the front of the hook, and then pull the piece and the hook away from each other as you rotate the tip down and bring it through both of the loops on your hook, and rotate it back to face you. Move the hook over to your non-dominant hand to secure this loop. Make sure it's about the same diameter as the tip of your hook, and you're good to go. You've done a single crochet stitch.